The great council chamber stretched wide like a metal ocean. Thousands of alien beings filled the curved seats that rose in circles around the center floor. Their voices mixed together in a low buzz of different languages and sounds. Some creatures clicked, others hummed, and a few made noises that humans could barely hear. Jake Morrison stood alone in the center of it all. His dark blue uniform looked simple next to the bright colors and strange shapes of the alien council members around him. He held a small device in his hand that would translate his words into every language in the galaxy. For 300 years, humans had stood in this same spot, always asking for permission, always explaining themselves. Not today. Chairman Veltar sat on the highest seat, looking down at Jake with 6 purple eyes. His gray skin had patterns that moved like water when he was angry, and right now those patterns were moving very fast. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled parts of the galaxy for 10,000 years. To him, humans were just babies who had learned to walk among the stars only yesterday. "Human Morrison," Veltar said, his voice deep and cold, "you have heard our decision. Your species will stay in the sectors we have given you. Your ships will not go beyond those borders. Your military will become smaller. This is final." Jake looked around the chamber. He saw the tall, thin crystalli, with their bodies that looked like living glass. They never moved fast and never changed their minds. He saw the red-skinned Drakmori warriors with their sharp teeth and proud faces. They thought strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. All of them were staring at him, waiting for him to bow his head and say, "Yes, sir," like humans had done for so long. "Chairman Veltar," Jake said, his voice clear and calm, "I want to thank the Council for their many years of cooperation with humanity." Some of the aliens looked confused. That did not sound like begging. "We humans have given our best to this Council," Jake continued. "We have shared our science, our inventions, and our ideas. We have solved problems that others could not solve. We have built things that others could not build. We have made peace between species that wanted to fight." A few council members made unhappy sounds. They did not like being reminded of times when they needed human help. "But today," Jake said, raising his voice so everyone could hear, "humanity says goodbye to the Galactic Council." The buzzing noise stopped. The entire chamber became quiet as empty space. Veltar's patterns moved faster. "What did you say?" "We are leaving," Jake said simply. "All humans will leave Council space within 1 year. Every human colony, every research station, every military base will be empty. We will take our people, our ships, and our knowledge with us." Loud voices filled the chamber. Some aliens stood up and shouted. Others made clicking sounds that meant anger. The Drakmori ambassador slammed his fist on his seat and growled something that the translator could not repeat in polite language. Veltar raised one of his long arms, and the noise slowly stopped. "You cannot leave," he said, sounding like a parent talking to a foolish child. "Where will you go? Who will protect you from the dangers of deep space? How will you survive without our trade routes and defense networks?" Jake smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We will manage." "Impossible," said the Crystalli representative, her voice like wind through broken glass. "Your species is too young, too reckless. You need our guidance." "Your guidance," Jake said, "tells us we cannot explore new worlds. Your protection means we cannot defend ourselves. Your trade gives us only what you want to sell and lets us buy only what you allow." The Drakmori ambassador stood up, his red face dark with anger. "Ungrateful humans, we lifted you from your tiny world. We taught you the secrets of faster-than-light travel, and we have paid that debt many times over," Jake replied. "Our engineers keep your machines running. Our doctors heal your sick. Our diplomats stop your wars. But you treat us like servants, not partners." Veltar leaned forward. "If you leave, you will die alone in the dark between stars. No one will remember your species existed." Jake touched his ear, where a small communication device was hidden. Somewhere far away, Admiral Kate Sullivan was waiting for his signal. All across human space, Ship captains and colony leaders were ready to begin the largest movement of people in galactic history. "Maybe we will die," Jake said. "Maybe we will find something better than what we had here. But we will do it as free beings, not as your pets." He pressed the device in his ear once. The signal went out instantly, faster than light, reaching every human world at the same moment. The exodus had begun. Captain Ben Rodriguez felt his ship's communication system buzz. He was loading cargo at Kepler Station, the same boring job he had done for 5 years. When he saw the message, his hands started to shake. Operation New Horizon was real. It was actually happening. He looked out at the busy docking bay where human workers moved between alien merchants and traders. In 1 year, all of this would be empty. The humans would be gone, heading toward stars that no council member had ever seen. Back in the council chamber, Jake Morrison picked up his briefcase and walked toward the exit. Behind him, thousands of aliens shouted questions and demands. Veltar was calling for order, but no one was listening. At the door, Jake turned around one last time. "We thank the council for the lessons you taught us," he said. "The most important lesson was this. Sometimes you have to leave home to find out who you really are." Then he walked out, leaving the council to argue among themselves about what to do next. They would figure out soon enough that the humans were not bluffing. The ships were already moving. 1 full year had passed since the last human ship disappeared beyond the edge of council space. Chairman Veltar stood in his office looking out at the capital city below, but the view was darker than usual. Half the buildings had no lights in their windows. The great fusion reactors that powered the government district were failing, and no one knew how to fix them. His communication device buzzed with another emergency call. This was the 15th one today. "Chairman," came the voice of Admiral Krikstar, commander of the Council Defense Fleet. "We have another problem with the defense network. 3 more sectors have gone offline. If the Sectani attack now, we cannot protect the border worlds." Veltar closed his eyes and felt very tired. The integrated defense network had been the pride of council space for 200 years. It connected defensive systems from dozens of different alien species, allowing them to work together to protect everyone. But the network had been designed by human programmers who understood how to make alien computers talk to each other. "What exactly is wrong with it?" Veltar asked. "The computers keep trying to communicate, but they cannot understand each other anymore," the Admiral explained. "When a Zephyrian sensor detects a threat, it sends information to a Crystalli defense platform. But the platform cannot read the message properly, so it does nothing. When we try to fix the communication protocols, we break something else." Veltar knew this was happening because alien computers were built very differently from each other. Zephyrian computers thought in patterns and cycles. Crystalli computers worked in straight lines and never changed direction. Drakmori computers were built for war and only understood simple commands about fighting. Humans had been the only species that could understand all these different ways of thinking. They had written special programs that translated between the different computer languages, making all the systems work as one. But those programs were breaking down without human programmers to maintain them. "How long before the network fails completely?" Veltar asked. "Maybe 2 months," Admiral Krikstar said. "Maybe less." After ending the call, Veltar walked to his desk where a pile of reports waited for him. Each one told the same story of systems failing across council space. The medical centers were in crisis. Dr. Kalo had sent a desperate message from the Andorian Science Institute explaining that 3 major diseases were spreading again because they could not continue Dr. Amy Harrison's research. The alien doctors had all her notes and data, but they could not think of new ways to use the information. They kept trying the same treatments that had failed before, hoping that somehow they would start working. The trading networks were breaking down too. Human merchants had been the ones who could deal with any species, speaking their languages, and understanding their customs. They had carried goods between worlds that normally would never trade with each other. Without them, many colonies were running out of food and supplies, but the worst news came from the border between Sectani and Vorthon space. For 50 years, this had been a dangerous area where 2 very different species almost went to war many times. The Sectani were warriors who believed strength was everything. The Vorthons were traders who thought everything could be solved with money and deals. Human diplomats had kept peace between them by understanding both sides. They could talk to Sectani generals about honor and courage, then turn around and discuss profit and trade agreements with Vorthon merchants. They had prevented dozens of conflicts by finding solutions that made both species feel like winners. Now, without human mediators, the old hatred was returning. Ambassador Ryan O'Connor had been the last human diplomat in that region. His replacement was a Crystalli named Velinor, who was very intelligent but could not understand why anyone would fight over empty space when they could simply divide it equally. The latest report said that Sectani ships had attacked a Vorthon trading post, claiming the merchants were cheating them. The Vorthons had responded by hiring mercenaries to attack Sectani mining operations. Both sides were sending more ships to the border, and everyone expected a full war to start soon. Veltar tried calling the emergency council session to order, but the members were arguing too loudly to hear him. The Drakmori representative was shouting at the Crystalli delegate, blaming them for the defense network problems. The Andorian Medical Council was demanding resources to continue their research. Everyone had problems and no one had solutions. "We must contact the humans," said Councillor Zephyra of the Mining Guild. "Offer them better deals to return, give them more territory, more freedom." "We have been trying," Veltar replied. "Every message we send into their space gets no answer. Our long-range sensors cannot find their ships. It is like they have vanished completely." What the council did not know was that humans had been preparing for this departure for much longer than anyone realized. While they had seemed to be following council rules, human scouts had been exploring space far beyond the official borders. They had found safe routes through dangerous areas and discovered worlds where they could build new colonies. The humans had also developed new technology that the council had never seen. Their ships could travel faster and farther than anything in council space. Their navigation systems could find paths through areas where other species would get lost. They had been sharing some technology with the council, but keeping their best discoveries secret. Captain Lisa Chen had been responsible for maintaining the massive fusion reactors on the capital world. She had modified them to produce 3 times more energy than the original design called for. But she had never written down exactly how she did it. The modifications required constant adjustment and creative problem-solving that no instruction manual could teach. Now the reactors were slowly failing, and the alien engineers could not understand why. They followed every procedure exactly as written, but the reactors kept getting worse. Without Lisa's human way of thinking, the systems that powered the most important world in council space would soon shut down completely. As darkness fell across the capital city, Veltar realized that the council faced a choice they had never imagined. They could try to survive without the humans who had become essential to their civilization, or they could admit they had made a terrible mistake and somehow find a way to bring them back. But first, they had to find them. 2 years had passed since the last human ship vanished from council space. Chairman Veltar looked older now, his purple skin pale and his 6 eyes dim with worry. The great capital city below his office was mostly dark. Only 1 in 3 buildings had power, and even those flickered on and off as the failing reactors struggled to keep working. The council chamber was half empty. Many species had stopped sending representatives because they were too busy dealing with problems at home. The Sectani and Vorthons were now fighting a full war that was spreading to other sectors. 3 colonies had been abandoned because their life support systems failed without human engineers to maintain them. "We have no choice," Veltar announced to the remaining council members. "We must find the humans and bring them back, no matter what it costs." Captain Ziexak of the Sectani Empire stood at attention before the council. He was the best scout in their military, known for finding things that others could not. His red skin was marked with scars from a dozen dangerous missions, and his yellow eyes burned with determination. "Chairman, I will take my ship Seekers. Path beyond council borders," Ziexak said. "We will follow the human ships and find where they went." "The humans have been gone for 2 years," said Councillor Velinor. her crystal body glowing weakly. Their trail will be cold. How will you track them through empty space? ZXX smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Humans may be clever, but they are still biological creatures. They need food, water, and air. They must have left supply stations along their route. I will find these stations and follow them to the human colonies. 3 days later, Seeker's path crossed the boundary of council space for the first time in 50 years. The area beyond was mostly unexplored because the council had always been more interested in controlling what they already had than finding new territory. But ZX's sensors soon detected something interesting. "Captain," said his navigator, a thin crystalli named Vexim. "I am reading artificial structures in the Kepler 442 system. There should be nothing there according to our star charts." When they arrived at the system, they found a supply station built into a large asteroid. It was clearly human construction, with the simple but effective design that humans preferred. But when they docked with the station, they found it completely empty. "This is strange," Vexim said as they walked through the empty corridors. "The station is in perfect condition. The power systems are running normally. There is food and storage and fuel in the tanks. But no people." ZXX studied the station's computer records. According to this data, the last humans left here 6 months ago. But look at these supply logs. This station was built 15 years ago. 15 years. Vexim sounded confused. But humans only announced their departure 2 years ago. They were planning this much longer than we thought, ZXX realized. This was not a sudden decision. They were preparing to leave for decades. As they explored deeper into unexplored space, Seeker's path found more evidence of long human planning. Supply caches hidden in empty systems, communication relays that could send messages across vast distances, navigation beacons that marked safe routes through dangerous areas. Every installation was empty but functioning perfectly, as if the humans had simply decided to move on to better places. The trail led steadily toward the edge of the galaxy, where no council ship had ever traveled. Back in council space, the only human who remained was causing quite a stir. Alex Turner had been a small-time trader who worked the border regions between different alien territories. Unlike other humans, he had chosen to stay behind when the exodus began. Alex was not an important person before the humans left. He ran a single cargo ship and made barely enough money to keep flying. But now he was the most sought-after being in the galaxy. Every major government wanted to talk to him, hoping he could tell them how to contact the humans who had left. "I keep telling everyone the same thing," Alex said to a group of council investigators. "I do not know where they went. I stayed because I liked my life here. I never got the secret information about their destination." But Alex did know more than he was telling. Before the exodus, he had been contacted by Admiral Kate Sullivan herself. She had offered him a choice: come with the humans to their new territory, or stay behind to watch what happened to the council. Alex had chosen to stay, but Kate had given him a special communication device. Once per year, he could send a message to the human fleet and receive an answer. His first message had been simple: "How are you doing out there?" The answer had shocked him. "We are doing better than we ever imagined possible," came the reply from Kate. "We have made contact with civilizations that make the council look like children playing with toys. The galaxy is much bigger and more wonderful than any of us knew." The message included data that made Alex's hands shake as he read it. The humans had found not just empty worlds to colonize, but other intelligent species to befriend. These new aliens were far more advanced than anything in council space. They had technology that could create matter from energy, ships that could cross the entire galaxy in days, and knowledge that went back millions of years. "They have been watching council space for a long time," the message continued. "They knew about all our species, but they were waiting for one that was ready to join them. They chose us not because we are the strongest or the smartest, but because we are willing to try new things and take risks for the right reasons." While Alex kept this information secret, Captain ZXX was getting closer to the truth. His ship had followed the human trail to the very edge of the galaxy, where space became thin and strange. Here, his sensors detected something that should have been impossible. Captain, I am reading massive energy signatures ahead, Vexim reported. The power levels are beyond anything in our databases. Through the ship's windows they could see lights in the distance. Not the lights of stars, but artificial illumination on a scale that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built. Structures that stretched across entire solar systems. Ships that moved faster than their sensors could track. By the ancient void, Zigzag whispered. What have the humans become? Before they could get closer to investigate, Seeker's Path detected an approaching vessel. It was human in design, but larger and more advanced than any ship the Council had ever seen. When it appeared on their screens, Zigzag realized with growing fear that the humans had not just survived their departure from Council space. They had evolved beyond it entirely. 5 years had passed since the great human exodus began. Council space was falling apart piece by piece. The war between the Sectani and Vorthons had spread to 6 sectors. The defense network was completely broken. Half the colonies had been abandoned, and the other half were running on emergency power. Chairman Veltar sat in his darkened office reading the same reports that came every day. Food shortages, system failures, ships stranded because no one could repair their engines. The great galactic civilization that had lasted for thousands of years was crumbling without the humans who had held it together. Then his communication device made a sound he had not heard in years. An incoming message from outside Council space. Chairman Veltar, came a human voice speaking perfect Zephyrian. This is Captain Megan Foster of the Human Federation ship Horizon's Edge. I am requesting permission to enter Council space for diplomatic purposes. Veltar's hand shook as he activated the reply system. Captain Foster, permission granted immediately. Please proceed to the capital world as quickly as possible. Within hours, news of the human ship's arrival spread through Council space faster than light-speed communication. For the first time in years, there was hope. The humans were coming back. Maybe they could fix the problems. Maybe everything could return to the way it was before. The council chamber was fuller than it had been in months as alien representatives hurried back to the capital world. They wanted to be there when the humans announced their return to galactic civilization. Captain Megan Foster walked into the chamber wearing a uniform that looked similar to the old human military style, but made from materials that seemed to shift and glow with their own light. She moved with the confident stride of someone who had seen wonders beyond imagination. Her ship, visible through the chamber's windows, was clearly human in design, but far more advanced than anything the Council had ever seen. It was larger than most Council battleships, yet it moved through space with the grace of a dancer. Its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to look at directly. Chairman Veltar honored Council members, Megan said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber without any translation device. I bring greetings from the Human Federation and our allies in the greater galactic community. Veltar leaned forward eagerly. Captain Foster, the Council wishes to express our regret for the misunderstandings that led to humanity's departure. We are prepared to offer significant concessions to convince your people to return. Megan smiled politely. What kind of concessions? Full Council membership with voting rights, Veltar said quickly. Expanded territory including 3 new sectors for human colonies. Unlimited research freedom. No restrictions on your military development. Furthermore, added the Crystalli representative, we offer joint leadership positions. Humans could help guide Council policy and scientific development. We would give you control of the defense network, said Admiral Krikstar. Your people clearly understand these systems better than anyone else. Megan listened to each offer, without changing her expression. When they finished speaking, she was quiet for a long moment. I appreciate these generous offers, she said finally. But I am afraid humanity must decline. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Veltar raised his arms for silence. Captain Foster, perhaps you do not understand. We are offering you everything you asked for before you left. 5 years ago, these offers would have been exactly what we wanted, Megan agreed. But humanity has changed since then. We have grown beyond the need for Council protection or infrastructure. Impossible, said the Drakmori representative. "No species can survive alone in the void between galaxies." "You are correct," Megan said. "No species can survive alone out there. But we are not alone." She touched a control on her uniform, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed images that made the alien council members gasp in amazement. Cities that floated in space without planets, larger than entire star systems. Ships that looked like living creatures swimming through the cosmos. Beings of pure energy working alongside biological species to build wonders that challenge the laws of physics. "The universe is much larger and more populated than anyone in council space ever imagined," Megan explained. "There are civilizations out there that have existed for millions of years. They have been watching this part of the galaxy for a very long time." "Watching us?" Veltar asked. "Waiting," Megan corrected. "Waiting for a species that was ready to join the greater community of intelligent life. They have certain requirements. The species must be curious enough to explore beyond their own territory. They must be flexible enough to work with very different kinds of beings. Most importantly, they must be willing to take risks for the good of others." The chamber was completely silent as the council members absorbed this information. "They chose humanity," Megan continued, "not because we are the strongest or the smartest species in this region. They chose us because we have the courage to try new things and the wisdom to help others succeed." "But what about council space?" asked Councillor Zephyra. "What about all the systems that are failing without human engineers and scientists?" Megan looked around the chamber with something like sadness in her eyes. "You had hundreds of years to learn from humanity. Instead, you tried to control us. You made us follow your rules instead of learning why we did things differently." "We can change," Veltar said desperately. "We can learn to think like humans. Give us another chance." "I am sorry," Megan said gently, "but humanity has responsibilities now that reach far beyond this galaxy. We are helping to build something greater than any single civilization could create alone." She turned toward the exit, then paused and looked back. "The knowledge is still here in the systems we built and the people we trained. Alex Turner has volunteered to help coordinate repairs for essential systems, but the days when humans solved your problems for you are over." As Megan walked out of the chamber, the alien council members sat in stunned silence. Through the windows, they watched her ship prepare to leave. It moved with impossible grace, accelerating to speeds that should have torn it apart, then simply vanished as it entered some form of travel beyond their understanding. Chairman Veltar remained in his seat long after the other council members had left. He stared out at the empty space where the human ship had been, finally understanding the magnitude of what the council had lost. They had not just driven away a useful species. They had rejected their chance to grow beyond their own limitations and join something magnificent. Now it was too late to fix it.